Trump, for instance, says he is going to tax American citizens less, but impose tariffs on other nations to pay for what he is unable to collect from citizens, you can begin to see the balancing of a leader thinking much more about the welfare of his citizens vis-a-vis what he can garner from outside. Imagine someone waking up to say he is going to impose external revenue drive on other countries, just like that. And is not also very far from his statement of, I want to acquire Canada as the 51st state, because to him, Canada has become a burden to America. And why would he not just erase the very long borderline that simply exists on paper? Physically on the ground, Canadians and Americans live literally like in the same country. So for him, he has squarely looked at this and said, Canada needs to be the next state in America. There has been too much smuggling, so much corruption across the border, so much insecurity, and control has been almost impossible for obvious reasons of contiguity and what have you. And what is the population of Canada? So this is surely a decision that will look very offensive, very, very offensive to so many people. But for Americans, that is how they acquired their states. Because America did not start with the number of states we have today. America acquired states over time. And the last being Alaska.
All right, Barrister, you heard him. Now, actually, the tax issue, we shall be talking about the tax specifically. This is how much this man loves Americans and America as his country. Very, very patriotic. I've not seen a president, a man that is as patriotic as a president, that the U.S. president that is as patriotic as as Donald Trump. This issue of tax. Have you seen other countries are increasing, especially our country, Nigeria? The president is just trying to choke us with taxation. While Trump is trying to reduce the internally generated revenue, that is tax, but by establishing during the speech, he talked about establishing an external. Every country has internal revenue service. This time around, Trump has become, that is the Trumpian way. He is trying to apply the Trumpian policy by bringing in, Trump knows how to actually bring up topic that people don't want to dare not talk about. And at the end of the day, moment he mentions that, people will cry foul and call him names and laugh at his ideas or whatever. But eventually, everybody will come around to realize that this man is actually speaking sense and he's making sense. And that is why his government, his comeback this time around, is a comeback of common sense. And that is just the reality. Barrister, how patriotic can someone be? Can someone be more patriotic as Trump, who has decided to establish an agency for external revenue generation, while he reduces, he's trying now to pass it through law, through the National Assembly, to bring down tax to 15%. That is record low. To bring it down to 15% and establish an external taxation that will make up for the shortfall of the internal taxation. Barrister, can somebody be more patriotic than this?
Well, you have to understand that in America for a long time, a debate on taxation between the liberals and the Republican, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. The liberal establishment believes that taxes should be raised, particularly for the people earning very high, for the wealthy people. The Republican group believes that in order to spur economic growth, replicate it over and over again, you reduce taxes And if you reduce taxes for the biggest or the wealthiest companies and individuals, if you reduce their tax, they will invest more. It will create more economic opportunities. It will create more business. Ultimately, with more businesses being established,
Barrister, sorry to cut you short. Now, on the liberal, let me correct you. The liberal, that is what the news, the mainstream media projects to the public to hear. That the Democrats they want to tax the higher class, the top 1%. No, Barrister. The tax was around 30 something, almost 40%. Yes, almost 40% before Donald Trump brought it down. The business tax was almost 40% before it brought it down in its first term to 20 something, I think 21, 22% now. And when he was about bringing it down, they cried foul. They did everything to oppose that tax reform. It's sort of. Now, back to my point, this issue of taxation, they use that top 1% to be able they always use that top 1% to make an excuse for the people for them to garner support from the public. But in reality, the taxation Democrat policy has always been high taxes on everyone, both businesses and individuals. Go ahead, please. Sorry to cut you short.
To that, because I wanted to put the theory behind the increase or decrease of taxes first before coming to the reality on the ground. The Republicans believe that if you reduce taxes all over, it will spur economic growth. People will reinvest their profits in more businesses. Ultimately, when more businesses are there, you get more revenue.
That is it.
When more businesses are established, you get
That's
more
common
revenue.
sense, right? Common sense.
The liberal establishment, on the other hand, believe in increase in taxes because they need to service their social bogus programs that they have to sell to the people, which they believe will always win them power.
Yeah.
Because they are going to be giving people handouts and they need more revenue. What they fail to realize always is that choking the economy with taxes is everywhere in the world is counterproductive.
That is it.
And we are seeing it in Nigeria today. In Nigeria today, we are overtaxed. An economy that is already down and virtually out is being overtaxed in the foolish hope that the government will get more revenue to do social programs, but at the expense of economic growth. Everything should be subjected or matched to economic growth, because it's the economic growth that will bring about wealth. It will bring about those very social programs and other things that you want to do. It will bring about improvement in infrastructure, improvement in health delivery services, improvement in food program, agricultural program, whatever you can think about. If an economy is improving and expanding, you will reach that goal much earlier than you have planned. But choking an economy with increase in taxes to rake in more revenue for the government has always been counterproductive. Whichever country, whether developed or developing, is the same economic metrics that you do. And we in Nigeria, we are seeing it live today. Where, look, for now, they are telling us that they are going to increase telecommunications tariffs by 50%.
Honestly.
I hope you read it.
Of course, I read it.
So all the core, all data and everything is going to be increased by, for God's sake, you have already overtaxed an impoverished population, an economy that is down and virtually out, and you are still looking for avenues to tax and tax and tax. How can that economy ever grow? Now, talking about external revenue service, this is the first time I've heard, and I have not seen it any other place in the world.
Of course, nowhere. That's what I'm saying.
Donald
Trump
talks
time
it's a novel idea, and I must confess that I am yet to see the modalities for that external revenue service, how it will work, and on whom the tax will be made, whether it is on American citizens that are outside the country.
No, now he
American
made it clear now. He has explained
outside
that.
the country.
Barrister, sorry to
Yes.
cut you short. He explained that already. He's going to be taxing nations, countries doing business with US. Excuse me, that have their manufacturing companies in their respective countries, but are exporting from their countries into the US. So that is how he's going to generate the fund.
That to me is not different from tariffs.
Yeah, that is different. Yes, of course, call it tariffs or whatever.
You get money from abroad by increasing tariffs on goods that are coming into your country. If you call that external revenue,
yeah, but that's why he wants to establish an agency responsible for that, to actually for that. Yeah, that's why he call it external revenue service.
Of course, that is good thinking, because it's going to balance the reduction in the revenue that will come from reduction in taxes, in the internally generated or collected taxes. So you need something to balance it. Because America, even under Trump, the expenditure is difficult in America now to carry out expenditure strictly in economic sense, because of the nature of America being the largest country in the world. The American interest, both security and otherwise, mandate that they have to stretch out and do certain things that require huge amounts of money, whether it is aid that they are giving to countries, because the aid comes with some conditions that make them accessible.
Do you know that as big as competitive as China is still getting aid from the US?
That is exactly what I'm saying. The aid that you give to other countries goes with condition. Nobody gives aid without conditionalities. Either you open up your place for penetration of our businessmen and economic companies into your country, which will ultimately benefit the country. So America must spend in that manner, whether it's under Trump or any other government. Although his own spending will be more reasonable and more economically applied than the West and recklessness.
He has already suspended. Suspended all aids.
How can you spend close to $200 billion supporting war in Ukraine when you have severe challenges within America? They are talking of decay of infrastructure, bridges and other things, cleaning rivers and this thing. You are not doing that, but you are taking hundreds of billions to sponsor a war which your military advisors, your economic advisors, your political advisors tell you cannot be won. Ultimately, they know that the country they are supporting cannot win. So what is the end result? Where is the exit route from that war? You start something without determining how.
Just like what they did in Afghanistan and Iraq.
And just like
they just want to apply the same thing with stupidity and foolishness.
Have you not learned from the lessons of Iraq, from the lessons of Afghanistan and other wars, Vietnam and other wars that you did? You have an open-ended war with no exit strategy, and you are just pouring billions and billions and billions, which are not achieving the result. They are not the whole money, equipment, anything that has been poured into the Ukrainian war has not achieved the result that it was intended. And there is no hope that it will achieve anything in the near future. So a reasonable man will say, let us stop the war. Besides the fact that over 1 million people have died needlessly in that war, and more will continue to die. How is it unreasonable to say that I want to end that war? It's in America's national interest for that war to end.
Yeah, all right, Barrister.
You see what was in the past and what is now.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister. Honestly, again, but Donald Trump is just a man that he just says something that it's supposed to be a common sense thing, but people don't want to talk about it. And when Donald Trump says it, everybody begins to call him names and laugh at him. But at the end of the day, look at this issue of Canada. I can't believe that. I've had this man, I don't know, this guy that I played right now, the Nigerian and the political analyst, the one that I don't know his name, that I play right now with the Arise. You can imagine what he said. He's making sense out of what Donald Trump talked about Canada becoming the 51st state. The 54th state of the US. Donald Trump has exposed the secret of Canada to people like us. So many people didn't know until now, including people that are that are politically at high positions. Honestly, they didn't know it is. That's one thing about Donald Trump. Donald Trump comes to spill the beans. He always spills the beans. That is just him. He's what do you call it? What do you call? I'm trying to get the disruptor. That's the right word. He's the disruptor in chief. That's exactly that is what he does. A sort of, so you can imagine. I didn't know that that look, my God, I can't believe that the so-called Canada has always depended on US to survive. For God's sake.
That is not a new thing. It's a known fact. It's not difficult to know. And
Many people didn't know, Barrister. It's a news. It was a news to people. So many of us.
A lot of people have questioned why there should be borders between Canada and America for some time. Of course, they felt that they are almost like brothers and sisters, and
God.
And the
US does not get there's no US does not benefit anything from Canada. Canada benefits everything from US. So it's a partnership that is a one-sided partnership, and that is why Donald Trump decided to started nicknamed, and I believe he meant it, addressing the president, prime minister, as the governor.
We must try to understand Donald Trump well. When he says certain things, we have to situate them in the proper context. When he talk about getting back Panama Canal, yes, I believe he means that one.
Yes, of course.
And when he talk about Greenland, I believe he means that one. But when it comes to Canada, I would rather classify it as
that's a bargaining chip. You don't understand. Donald Trump, look, that of Canada, he used it. He wants to rubbish Canada so that at the end of the day, when it comes to a negotiating table, he will be able to get the better part of the deal. No, he didn't mean it now that Canada should be.
That's what I'm saying now. We are saying the same thing. I'm saying in case of Canada, he was talking aloud, throwing a balloon so that he will see guys the reaction and others. So that
he didn't mean that, of course.
He didn't actually mean it in actual fact.
In reality,
as opposed to Panama Canal, as opposed to Greenland. But here, he was speaking out aloud. What we say is saying it aloud. Just throwing some story in the bush.